Hi everybody and welcome. If you're sitting in the wings, say hello. A few minutes early, a few minutes to go. Hi Wendy, good evening to you. Well, there seems to be 8 or 9 in the wings, but only one saying hello. So come on everybody. Good evening Derek. Tracy, good evening to you too. Derek, I sent you a message regarding your inquiry. And I'll sort of ask everybody to have a look tonight and see. Oh, excuse me. It's been a long day. Had a lot of fun today, though. Keith, good evening to you, sir. Nice to have you all on board. I don't know how many we're going to get tonight. I hope everybody is fine and staying well. All right. Okay, well, we've got 10 watching, but 4 chatting. Well, we're going to crack on in a second or two and get started on this. Just checking the time. We've got a minute or so yet. We'll let people come in and settle down. Ken, good evening to you, sir. How are you? Nice of you to join us. Very early for you, I know. David, good evening to you, sir. You know, this stuff, we've all seen this. It's that non-slip matting you can buy on a roll. 2 things I found it good for, apart from stopping stuff sliding around. And first thing, it makes a fantastic, if you haven't got one, a great mouse mat. That is fantastic for a mouse mat. And secondly, if you've got grubby glasses, it really sorts them out too. Not what it was designed for, but I've found that is an excellent purpose for this stuff. Right, okay, I'm being silly. I did a bit more digging around. Internet thing might be a problem on my phone. Yeah, I think it's most likely got to be that. I will ask everybody to check, but I know the film had sound recorded with it. And I know that went out that way, and I played it back on mine and had no problems with it. Although I will say that the sound was a little bit quieter actually on the filming of the painting, only because I was shooting the camera from so far away. What I might do is use a lapel mic, and next time I do something like that and do it in a different way. Dennis, good evening to you. Nice of you to join us. Sue, good evening to you too. Ken, not so early in the morning then. I thought maybe because of our hours have changed. So great to have you on board. Nice early start, nice cup of coffee, sitting in the armchair or watching it in bed, whichever. Good to have you on board, mate. And I did like that tree you painted and put up on the Patreon stream the other day. I do like gums. Brooklyn, good evening to you. Hope you're well. Righto. Okay, so best I get started. Now, as you saw from the title of this, I decided that I wanted to do the same picture over a couple of weeks, and I want to attempt it in oil and in watercolor. So tonight I decided to do it in oil. It's actually a scene from the Portsmouth Harbour area. Now, I'm not quite sure where. I went here on this day many years ago with a very good artist, painting buddy of mine. We've known each other for many, many years, and I always enjoy going down to be with him because his lovely wife can cook like nobody's business and it's absolutely stunning. I always love any excuse not to see him, just to eat at his house because I know I'm going to be fed like a lord. Anyway, that aside, this is somewhere around that Portsmouth area, and if you were to sort of pan round to the left of this situation, there is one of those big forts out in the, I guess it's the Solent. I don't really know the area that well. Forgive me for my bad geography and bad knowledge in that area, but that's where I think it is. Anyway, okay, so it is a long format. So I've chosen, unfortunately, I can't fit in any of the palette tonight because I've got a much longer painting on here. I've got a 16 by 8 piece of board and it's been prepared. This one has been prepared in rabbit skin glue and whiting, so not your conventional surface to start with. Okay, so what I'll find and what you'll see is the fact that I need to make a fair bit of mixture up. Now I'm going to go in my normal sloshy umber colour, but I will need a fair bit because this will suck the life out of the painting. So it's not a problem, just letting you know that. Okay, so now where do I want to put the horizon? Well, I'm going to stick it about there, down of middle, and about on the third 2/3. I'm just going to stick a line all the way through there. Very crudely done. That's the only real time I need this piece of wood. So I'm going to stick that to one side for the moment, just in case I'm wrong with that. And yeah, okay, so let's get started. Now I want to make a quick drawing. First and foremost, I'm just going to stick in the angle of my yacht. I'm just going to stick that like there. There is my visual indication. It may get smaller than that. I'm not quite sure where that's going to go. Okay, so I'm going to sort of look at the sail and I'm going to look at the shape of the vessel, and it's laying into some wind coming out onto the open water, as it were. It's come out of the entrance to the harbour, and I'm already going wrong, so let's just take that out. We don't want that. Now the thing about drawing on this is it's not like one of the canvas panels that I normally use, which if I can grab one, this is a shop bought one. It can be white or oatmeal, but because of the way it's finished, you can normally rub out any mistakes. This stuff has got a memory in a sense. It sucks into the surface, so you're not going to come away with getting rid of that. But you can paint over it. I'm not saying you can't sort that out. I'm just saying that to rub it out and to continue on, you may come unstuck. So just be aware of that. Right, I'm just going to put in shape there. I'm going to play around with that. I'm not set up with that yet totally. I want to put in this though. This is the lovely end of the harbour, and it's a great big dark edifice, although I think we've got a sort of secondary wall there, so I'm going to put that in, and it comes down and like so, and we've got other bits and pieces of this build, and I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at there. And actually, to be quite honest, first time I've seen it, I just saw a big wall. So there's my observation for you, gone right out the window. And then we've got this lovely angle down off of here and the sort of water marker. All right, I'm going to leave that like that for the moment. We can always come back in. I'm just going to come up a little way, and then we've got this, I guess, will be the Harbour Master on here, big tower. So we've got a commanding view all round. Take that all the way through there. Now, I think that I can take that back. I came in with a long board with a view to, you see how that will not forgive, it will not lift. So, yeah, I came in with a long board with a view to giving myself plenty of room, and indeed I've done that, not a problem. You see how I say that the paint is soaked into this surface, it will not forgive, will not release it. So let's just take all this back a little bit. I really only want about that much behind the tower. So let me come this way. Let me put the suggested Harbour Master's office or tower, whatever you want to call that, and the little walk round platform that he's got there. And I don't know if it, I can't see it enough if it goes all the way around, but I'm assuming it might do. And I'm just really sort of playing around with colour, just suggesting the drawing. There are a couple of windows in there, we can put those in. Very quick dab, there's windows underneath, and this wall here. Now that is a bit of an angle, to be quite honest. There's a couple of windows that are just out of shot. Take that all the way through there. We've got the dark side on there, and then we've got that. So that's pretty much that area done and dusted. There's a little bit of a highlight there which we can bring down on that wall, and that comes back a little way, and I think there might be steps or something there, but we will take that as a dark because a lot of this colour is going to be lost in terms of its sort of against that lovely sky. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to change this drawing a little bit here. Take that to there, and then that's going to come back in line with that part. And this is where the drawing really is important, because you need to be looking at to see what parts of some parts line up with other bits, if that makes any sense at all. The thing being that you can get great pointers in your drawing by understanding all the little bits and pieces that are there. So that's going to come to there, and I'm going to bring that down somewhere like that, and then down there like so. So we've got this other building which, as I say, I can't recall or remember what that is about, in the fact that I've only just spotted it, to be honest with you. I'm going to bring it out to there anyway. And there's quite a bit of other stuff going on here, sort of tall thing like so, and a couple of sort of bits and pieces there we can put in, just suggestive. The nice thing about this surface is that, as I say, it will be a memory. So that, from that point of view, it's great, because if I paint over, I can still sometimes see stuff underneath if I wanted to remember where I was with that. Just going to take this line all the way through here, like so. This is roughly where the water is, but what I do need to do is to make sure, not that it's straight, but it's not going that way or that way. It does need to really be level. So just check with a little measure if you're not too sure. Just make sure that you are on that sort of level with it. Now you can get a good idea from this, that if you look at the height of that wall there, sort of comes out just at the top. So that boat was quite well placed to begin with, and I'm not too unhappy with that. I'm going to take the wake out from behind it, and then I need to check why this is not quite looking as it should do here. Let's put that down for a moment. Let me just catch up with the chat. Hi everyone. Well, Brooklyn looks like a blockhouse fort in Hassa. Ah, so you know the area. I'm guessing. I don't know where Haslar is. I'm assuming it's down that area. I don't know, Brooklyn. You obviously know more than I do. All I know is somewhere down there on a trip to Portsmouth with my friend. We went around all the wildlife areas and the birds and the foreshores, and we ended up coming back here for a coffee and a chat. And yeah, I think there was a bit of an old sort of historical parts that we looked at, and it was really pretty. Right, okay, I'm just going to re-look at that shape for a moment. It's quite a bit of dark in here into the cockpit, I guess, and I may have to just change that angle a little bit to there. Not really a big worry. And the mast comes up and the foresail comes down. Nice big curve, lots of wind catching it. Nice shape up into there, full with the wind there. So now we're going to make sure the pointy end of the boat, the bow, of course, before anyone picks me up. And that comes up at a nice angle through there. Alright, now we're going to look at this. I'm not saying it's finished on the drawing, but at least we've got some idea. And then we can bring the mainsail down through there, and it ends somewhere like so. A little bit of water underneath. Just take that out to there. Obviously there are lines, there are people, there's all sorts of things going on with this. And I've got to be honest, I'm not too sure at the moment if I got this about the right size. I think there's quite a bit more of this vessel out through the front here, like so. I'm gonna go with that for a moment, like that, and I'm gonna look at the angle. I'm gonna change quite a bit of this drawing. That's why I'm wiping it back. As you can see, literally I'm rubbing the heck out of it, just wiping it back. It's the best I can do with regards to this paint, and I can come back in with a little bit neater umber and just draw that in. Now, as I said at the into the introduction, that this is going to be repeated next week, so I better get this boat right. In terms of that, I want to have 2 bashes in 2 mediums, and I think that's quite a nice idea to do a few paintings this year where we play around with the idea of the same subject matter, but painting it in 2 different ways with 2 different mediums. Not 2 similar mediums, but 2 different mediums. I'll check that again now. Nice and low to the waterline and coming up there. Doesn't take a lot to be out something like this. It's just coming up to the point. Nice sharp angle cutting into the water. Nice little bit of bow wave in some darkness. Coming down through the side there. And that's probably better than I had. We shall see. And it's worth taking your time over your drawings anyway, because it will pay dividends. So now I've extended that. Just going to check, and I'm going to do a quick measure. See, there is my issue. 1, 2. That is still out. It looks like it should be there. Compared to the stern, there's more at the back behind, obviously, and that is normally the case. And I was a little bit unsure of that when I started doing this, but I'm going to bring it back to there, and let's just see if that's better. I'm going to take that down a little bit there. Come in. As I was saying just now, it really is worth making sure that your drawing is accurately done before you start to go into the painting phase, because it will pay you dividends in the long run. I'm just going to look at that again, just bring that down to there and take that up to there. But like all things like this, certainly, you know, if it's not quite right, you can adjust it in the painting stage anyway. It's not the end of the world if you've got to make a few changes further on, and you're constantly looking and re-looking at what you're doing. Where are we? Good evening, Ben. Sorry I didn't see you come in there. Good to have you on board. John, good to have you, mate. I'm glad you're with us tonight. And well, I'm glad you're here, John. I hope it's not too mental. Yeah. Right, I'm going to just draw that light band through there just to give me that I can remember it. Just putting a little stripe of umber in there. Just a bit more fluid to make this work. Now there's a low part of the ground and the hills and stuff behind, and like so. Now that comes to the sort of city, town. Please forgive me if you are local to this area and watching this and I am getting my geography completely messed up. You must forgive me. There are things like that little tower there which got to be in about the right place so that people can make an identification. I don't think it is in the right place. I'm just going to come across and do that again, little dip, and put it there. So I'm going to put that little towel there, and we're going to carry on with the idea. And because that horizon comes down through there, and actually you get quite confused of what's going on here because of that. And then there are some hills further back, so let's just put those in, and they come quite a way up the mast of the vessel. So all these are little guidelines for you. It comes up higher at this point, through there, and starts to sort of do a few things and then come back down there. Now this part here, therefore, needs to be much higher, through there, and then coming down. It's still rising at that point, but then coming down to there. Either that, or I think maybe that could be, look at all these changes we're making. But not a problem. It really isn't a problem. Okay, let's just make this shallower down through here. Just give me a little bit more space to play with. Bring that up to there, and our little tower, and then that can come down like so. Alright, now let's just check this one again. This can come up here, but lower overall. Through there. That's probably where I had it in the first place, to be quite honest with you. And then that can come back down like so. So there's pretty much our thing done. There is a big ferry vessel through the back there. Just going to put a square in for that, and we've got a couple of yachts way off there. There are tons of boats. This is a sort of mecca for boating through here, the sailing clubs and everything else that goes on, as we all well know. But there's our drawing pretty much. It's going to be a very different drawing for next week, but let's crack on with this one now. Okay, so I'm going to ditch this brush for a moment, certainly. I want to go into a bigger brush. Yep, no, I think you're right, David. It is worth going it on. Work has been crazy for me to. I'm on a coat. Wow. Yeah, that must be fraught with worry, as well as whether you actually have time to worry. I'm sure you probably don't there, Brooklyn. It's quite one of those things, isn't it? Okay, right, now I'm just going to check that. So see the height of that and my sail. Now I'm looking at the picture and I'm putting a line up on it, and the sail and the roof ought to be about the same size. So I'm going to just rub that through there, and I know I've got to bring that mast down just a sneaky bit. Okay, I'm going to come in now with some sky and some clouds. I'm going to use the rest of that brown. To that I put a little bit of blue, and I'm putting a little bit of my magenta red colours, and I'm going to tint it down with some oxide of yellow and some white. Let's just play around with these colours and let's just see where we are with that. Have I missed anybody on the chat? No, I don't think so. Okay, so let's just put in, and I wanted to work fairly speedily. I didn't want this painting to be heavily laboured because there's going to be enough information going on down here. So my sky I wanted to be quite loose, quite vibrant, quite energetic, nice clouds. It wasn't a particular, I mean, I think you can see from the picture that we weren't blessed with the best of conditions on this day. We had to dive in and out of little rain showers, and although we did have fun, I've got to say it was great. We saw some lovely bird life. I know where my friend lives at a place called Walrush, I think. I'm not sure even if I said that right. He'll probably be on the phone to me later and have a go at me for getting all that wrong too. But yeah. But anyway, right. Let's crack on. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put some lighter blues in, and I'm going to save my lights, my real whitey lights, for little coronas, little bits of light running through these clouds. So I'm just going to come in and just gently glaze over and mix up some of the grey colours that we're looking at here. I'm going to put some darker ones in. And I'm using a chisel brush, or not a sword line or a dagger. I do like these brushes. They do work very, very well. I'm using it in a variety of movements. You can see me moving one way then the other. I also use it that way, and I use it on the tip, and I use it upside down on the tip. So it really is very versatile as a brush. But because I've got such a large canvas tonight, guys and girls, I've got to work fairly smartly, or you won't get. I don't want to do this as a two-parter because I've got part 2 in watercolor next week, and therefore if I don't get this finished, that will be it for the stream, and I will probably finish it in the fullness of time in the next few days myself. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Excuse me. It's going to get paler as it comes down, and there is going to be a little bit of greeny colour right there. I'm going to put a little bit of turquoise, pale turquoise. It's that Winsor & Newton colour. It's only one of 2 that I use, but it's got that lovely little blue coolness to it, which is nice, coming down to the horizon, or the visible horizon. Just take that up through there, give it the same value there. Doesn't matter that I'm really going over stuff, because that can all be put back in, further in. I just want to get this colour set up. Now, if any of you really want to get involved with painting on a rabbit skin glue and whiting surface, I am happy to at some point talk you through. It's not an easy process to get it, and it will involve some outlay, and it will involve quite a bit of mess. So it may not be for everybody, but I am happy to talk to anybody who wishes to get involved to do that. I did demo it at the gallery last year, and that was quite not an easy demonstration to make either, to be honest with you. I'm just cutting in some of the shapes around the building here, taking that up into that next lot of cloud, bringing it all the way down to here. There is 1 or 2 bits and pieces to go back in there, which I've destroyed the look of, but not to worry. Taking it to that point and cutting in and cutting around the building. Okay. Now I'm going to bring a lot more light coming in, just putting a little bit of Naples yellow, not yellow, Naples yellow into the white, I'm just keeping it a little bit more muted because there is light down here, but not the brilliant white that you're going to have in one or two other places. So if I come in too quickly with a brilliant white, I've got nowhere else to go. So I've got to choose my time, pick my moments for that. Okay. No, Brooklyn, it is a 2.3mm MDF board, commonly the one that you can get from picture frame suppliers. That guys like myself, when framing, use it as backing board. So it's really a very versatile board, and you can seal the board up if you wish to, and happily then set it up for painting on. It's not too difficult to do. I'm going to take that all the way through there, take a little bit out there. Paint was thickening out, and it's what I was telling you, this surface is a lovely surface, but it will have a few issues if you're not prepared, well prepared for them, because it will suck the life out of the paint, and it stops it moving so well, it does start to get really stiff on you. So to that end, it may be that you just want to keep with conventional gessoed surfaces. It's by far the easier way if you're not used to sort of mucking about with other things like that. Okay, I'm just taking some of this light up now, added a little bit more white to it. And I'm sort of still not punching above the white's weight. I'm just coming in very cautiously and playing around with some of the shapes and the forms before I start getting into adding extra lights and extra whites into the mix. Take that all the way through the top there. Okay. A little bit of extra white in one or two places just to change how we're seeing some of this lower stuff. Maybe just the odd little bit of tap in there just to give me a bit of a highlight of a distant cloud that's just breaking up on or just coming forward on the horizon. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit more. I think here we need, it will appear lighter once I get the darks in. Got to be said, but I'm just giving it a little bit of a extra before I get to that point. Blend that through, take that all the way through like so, making that a little bit lighter. I think it could be lighter. I think it's a little bit dark. To that end, I might just come in with not too much green, not that much green. A little bit excessive. Picked a whole dollop of it up. Just working some of that out and just coming back in with that green, making that turquoise just a little bit more evident than it was before. I'll take that all the way through here now. And up into there. Okay, that's quite nice. I quite like that. I'm just going to clean the brush there. Everybody I'm talking to has had COVID. Derek, you've got it too, mate? My 5 of my neighbours one side have just got over it. They had it coming out of Christmas. And my niece and her husband have gone down with it up the road. And my immediate neighbours the other side of me reported to me today that they've gone down with it. So we're getting our heads down. We're keeping away from everybody. We're not told my daughter, and she said, "Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them." We're not. Hi, Trevor. Good evening to you, sir. Nice to have you on board. Well, I hope you guys that have got this COVID bug are sort of just mild cases of it, because it must be quite scary. I don't know what we've read so much on it in the last months and the last year that, you know, the mere mention of somebody got it, you think, oh my lord, you know, what must be going on for them? But as I say, my neighbours one side had it coming out of Christmas, and 5 members of the family got it, and the worst that one of them did was spent 2 days in bed, and that was it. But as we're aware that it's not the same for everybody, which is the sad part about this whole thing. Right, I'm just dragging some of this light paint across the surface. Now it is drying, and I do need to put a little bit more Zestit, which is the medium I use, to the paint. I come across here and wallop some down now into this area, so we can get this area quite quickly finished off. I'm bringing some of that green in to play up here too. I think the emergence of the green in other places helps the green through the base. And the green here, I'm going to actually now mix around with some magenta-y colours just to give me that sort of violet green. Bit of blue into it, make it a little less green, a little bit more blue, a bit more of the magenta. That's way too much. Always seem to overdo it. Going to tap a little yellow into the magenta. That is complementary to it, so it will kill it off. Let's just come back in with some of these cloudy sky colours in here. Sweeping marks, dragging it over other places. Big one in the center here, because obviously that's the color or the sky that is closest to us. A little bit of dark in there, maybe a little deeper color. And bringing 1 or 2 other bits through here, just taking it down. It's getting a little paler as it comes down. Not that much paler, but a little bit more pale. Well, there we go. I do hope you're right, Brooklyn. I do hope that we are coming towards the end of this in certain ways. I'm always hopeful, but every time you see the news and the figures, it does make you wonder really how close we are to that. Right, I'm in danger of making all my clouds one colour. I didn't really want to do that. I'm just going to come in and I'm going to bring in, it's gone the wrong way, a little bit more pinky colour into there. Just bring that back a little bit. Got a little bit yellowy. I'm going to bring a bit more blue in. This time I'm going to come in with a little bit, not too much, of the burnt sienna, or in my case it's not burnt sienna, it is actually oxide of red. Very, very similar sort of colour, just more transparent. I'm using a lot of transparent colours in here too. Okay, just wanted to shift the value of that dark, that's cloud down a little bit towards the bottom. Give it a little bit of weight through here. I don't want to dwell too much longer really on this cloud, because if I do, I know I'm not going to have enough time to finish the rest of this painting. So I might just sort of leave the cloud there in maybe finished or semi-finished or an expressive state, as it were. And it's something that either I can come back to tomorrow or later on today if there is time towards the end of this. I really want to push on with the rest of this picture. Okay, I'm going to come in though with some lighter values just to mix some of this down through here. Much paler as this comes down, and it's sort of all over the place. Scratching it in, coming up to the top of the building, scratching these shapes through. Almost very expressive brushwork in many ways, because we are at the point where we can sort of almost like a rain, isn't it? And it's like a rain cloud going through. I'm going to put a little bit more yellow into my white. I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to play around with some of these whitish marks through here. Down here. Up to the edge there. As I say, this may well need more work on it. I'm not saying that this sky is finished, but it is one of those things. A bigger canvas requires sometimes a little bit more time. I'll bring a little bit of light in over the top of there, down. Take some of that light through there and down again towards the front of the harbour master's offices. Lookout, whatever it is. I'm going to bring, I want a big bit of white in there, a big pale colour. I'm looking at the screen too. I'm looking at what you're seeing as well as what I'm painting. Right. So now I'm just going to refine one or two shapes before we move on. How much time have we been in this? 43 minutes. So I do not want to leave this too much longer. Okay, I think I'm going to have to sort of leave it there and then come back at this time. A bit of finger painting, never hurt anybody. Just a nice bit of light blocking through there. And give these just a little bit of structure before we do move on. Come down through. A little bit of a blend in there. Just soften that edge to the white. Now keep that dark there because that is what makes that there. I'm just going to blend this edge in here, give that a little shape up into there, blend that down there. Just ever so softly, bring some of that down too in the same way. Okay, so that's really starts to build that area of cloud, and you can take that on all the way across. You can actually build shapes into shapes and forms, soften areas where it's catching directly, and keep it really sort of strong where you want that. So I'm going to just bring that in there, just soften that area to there just a bit, and take that down through to there. Things like that. You start to build the cloud. Okay, let's come away from the cloud for a moment. So let's start looking at our landforms in the background, and we'll go from that. I still want to lighten this up. I like it, but I just want to lighten it up a little further. Just think it needs to come up just a bit more. The idea was sound, but I think it just needs a bit more white into it. Not much. Maybe wish I'd gone too far in a minute, but okay, I'm going to leave that there, and as I say, we'll need more work, I'm sure. These things always do. Okay, right, let's just look at our ground, and I'm going to clean out the worst of this paint. Okay, so let's look at some ultramarine blue. Let us look at some of the turquoise green. Let us look at a little bit of cadmium red light in there. A bit more. That's way too much. I told you I'm going to do that again. Let's remix. Put a bit of yellow to that too. We want a really darkish, dirtyish green, but it wants to be a distant one. So that is quite good. That's a nice grey-green colour in a sense, and it will give us our hill structure. I'm going to try and cut round what I know is going to be that sail, otherwise it will be a little bit too difficult later on to try and do that. So there's the colour I was using. I'm going to vary it to the bottom. I'm going to put a little more yellow into some of that mix as that comes down towards the next landfall. Where I'm going to put the brush in, look at that. So down through here is getting a little bit more of a pale as that comes down. Turning the brush around to the tip, utilizing the tip of the brush. Pale colour down there. Take that on up. We will put a little few trees and stuff that I can see adorning the top of this in places. That gives it that lovely sort of undulating, not quite sure where one bit is and another bit is, it's just there. So we've got a nice backdrop to the next set of hills, and the value is about right. Now on this side we've got the light of the mast and the sail, and we're going to come down. We've got some of the hill here. Take that down a little more. I think I said I was going to bring that one down even further, so let's do that as well. Not to forget, cut around that sail. And then take this on up through to here. Now, it does get ever so much lighter still. I'm going to put a bit of white into my mix. I just want to suggest that there are some lights catching on this forward edge of these very distant hills over here. Nicely seen in the distance, and they are just allowing a bit of sunshine to capture on their edges and on some of the fields, some of the lower slopes, just picking up a little extra light. Maybe a little more yellow than I've got it. Not too much, it's a very dull sense of yellow. It is not yellow as yellow, it's sort of very muted and a very corrupted yellow. I think we are pretty much good for that. Alright, so let us come in and put a very much darker value, not absolutely dark, but a bit more blue, into that yellow. And let's just come through here, and that needs to be darker than that, so it's easily a mistake to be made. A bit more red, make it a little bit more warm. Look at that. No, it needs some more blue. Okay, let's check it against there. It's not the right value, it needs to be darker. So some more blue and a bit more red and a little touch of the yellow, taking it away from the violet as such. That is probably a much better color. Okay, so we can come in here now. I want it to show up nicely on against the hills in the background. Come across here, looking at some of the shapes, and we're going to come down. I'm going to just tip in my finger just in there, bring some of that sky paint in. I can come back in and repair that, that's not a problem. But there is that very strong square shape piece of whatever it is there, and it comes up, it's almost like in its own little cup, and then that comes up to there. One or two other little bits of structure and bits and pieces going on. Probably a little more than I've allowed room for, but I'm not too worried really. Just going to tap in, and I'm going to bring that down. So that could actually be a lot smaller, and I think that's probably best for that. And I'm just varying the marks on the top, like the little groups of trees, little clumps of this and that up the top there. You get this, you can get the variation going on. And I'm going to bring that down a little bluer as this comes down here, a little cooler than the reds. Right, so take that down, cut through here where we know our sails are going to be, so we don't want to try and lose those if we don't want to do that, and take that all the way down all the way through to here. Try and keep your nice horizon line if you can. Take a measuring stick, take a straight edge if you wish. It's easy enough done, but just try and respect that nice level edge to the water and the masses of whatever beyond. Now here you've got quite a blue colour, I just realised, in the back of this. I'm going to put that in there, just a little bit more ultramarine blue into the back of this distant hill. It's ever so subtle, but it is there. And just a little line that comes through there with the same colour. Just breaks up anyway. It's good to break everything up. A little few darker trees, little edge of this brush. I'm using the tip and I'm using the brush upside down. And now you can start to see leaving and depositing little marks onto the top of the hills that are giving me a suggestion of tree lines, broken this, broken that, whatever it might be. Take that down. That's quite a smooth area over there, not too much happening, so we can pretty much leave that as it is. We've done all of that sort of stuff, and I have not made it as dark through here. I quite like the fact that I haven't had to do that, but I'm just going to come in with a few darker colours of blue now, and a little bit of umber into that blue, and a little bit of red too. I still want it a bit of a violety, but dark violet. I'm just going to come in with a few dark marks in here that are suggestive of things that are between things. Bits of building, bits of whatever. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. I don't know what is, over there. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to put that lovely deeper blue value. I'm going to come and work around my cross-channel ferry, because that will be a lot harder if I try and paint through that now. And it's quite dark over the whole of that area, so I'm going to bring that through there, take that down again, and continue on over here, and then it will get a little yellower and it will get lighter in places as we give way to more and more structures, buildings and what have you that are out there. I'm going to take that all the way through there now, take that off of the scene, and just going to come down and feather that out like so. We can't quite see what is going on. We don't know all the different buildings and all the different sites. Going to bring a bit of dark in there. I will still have some. I've lost quite a bit of it. It's gone a little bit grey on me. Right. Just going to come in with a bit of dark in here. There's one or two dark passages that set the lights up on all those buildings down in the foreground. I'm just tapping in, and it could be around some forms. It doesn't really make a lot of difference how you finish this here, as long as it's sort of quite dark like that, and then you can come back in with a bit of Naples yellow into some of that blue, pale blue colour you've been using, maybe even a little bit of pink colour into that, that sort of suggests all that sort of concrete stuff that is way off in the distance. You can't tell what any of it is, well, at least I can't. Lots of buildings, big town, city, I don't know what part it is. So I'm just tapping, randomly tapping, not shapes, indicate buildings, but they do not, you can't identify in any one of them. And you don't want them so bright that when you come to put real lights in, that they are lost or the lights don't show up because everything else around them is just too bright. You've got to look at your values and keep your values pinned down. Even this boat, this cross-channel ferry, is quite muted in terms of light way back here. And you can see what it is, or at least I can just about see what it is. And there are quite a few darks in there, so we're going to just suggest some darks in there that are suggesting that it is ferry or something similar to. Not that you can really see it from this distance. We have a little glug. Right. Fresh bit of paper would be good. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a bit more light, a little pinkier, just to lift up some of the building shapes. It's the state of my poor old brush. But I'm just tapping in a few extra lights here and there that become more of a suggestion of highlights and little lights catching some sunshine, maybe a little bit more pink, a little bit more white. It has to be said, a lot of the whites that I've been using so far are the zinc white, so they haven't got the power of titanium white, but I've just introduced a bit of titanium white, and you can start seeing how that will hold itself up as a highlight light. You start to see a little bit of light here and there on some of the buildings. I don't know what they are, as I say, I keep saying that, but I don't. What I'm trying to do is suggest there's lots of stuff going on back here. Okay, and it comes right up the hill into other areas, up into here. Okay, all right, well that's probably good enough for that. Now I'm going to start putting in RC, and I'm going to come in back in with the zinc white again. Do use a lot more of it. And put in a very little bit of the blue, green, the turquoise that we've been using so far. And I'm going to put in a little bit of the transparent oxide of yellow. And I'm going to try and give myself a fairly cool greeny light for the sea way back in the distance. I'm going to run that through. I want to have a little bit more of moisture as well because it is very, very dry. And I'm just going to take that lovely hard line of the horizon and take this all the way along. And it doesn't matter at this point with this light if I go through some of my sail, just to keep my line nice and straight. Take it all the way through there. And this is the time to correct anything that you've made a mistake on in terms of level. I'm looking at up and I can see that I'm going uphill here, so I do have to come back the other way. In fact, what I might just do is raise the bar this side, take that through a little higher. And I'm still going to come down with the other one, I think, because it is just a little too high. Never mind, that's not a problem. You can do that. In fact, there are lots of sort of darks and lights through there anyway, so we can just come back in here and take that down a tad, like so. And I'm looking at what you're looking at. I think that I need to come up there or come down quite a way here. So I'm actually going to bring that down. Done straight through my vessel, not a problem. It's quite important to get it about right. That's not too bad. Any adjustments later on I can do. Not too bad at all. Okay, so let's come down, and there is a really greenish. So I'm going to use it. That's way too green. I didn't mean for that. Picked up the wrong colour. Get rid of that. Totally. That was some phthalo green, which I did not want in the mix. Clean my brush thoroughly. Okay, back to the drawing board. Let's come in with some blue. Some nice ultramarine blue. And a little bit of yellow. And it will give me a green, but not as aggressive green as I had. I'm going to come in with some white into there. I'm going to mix that well together and tap in a little bit of magenta colour into that, just to play around with it a little bit. Check that out, and I think we're good for that. Nice strong dark statement through here into there, and you're going to take it all the way through there and through here. Okay, keep some of that on the go because you're going to need some more of it. For instance, there's a very fine line of it through there. Just want to put that in like so. It does go on through there and on there. Quite like that. That's good. Now I'm going to bring a slightly lighter value of that into some white here, and I'm going to take that down through here. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap because there's a lovely white streak through there too. And this is going to come down around our boat here like so. And I'm just scratching it down into place. I want to put a bit more yellow green to that. Making a bit more of this mix, and a little bit more of that pinky colour, just to dirty it up a little bit. Giving that real dirty old green in the four colours of the water here. and off the back of the boat here, taking that, leaving that little bit of an edge there just to come back in with that little bit of light that's through there. Now I've come too low with that, so let's just wipe that back, because coming in with the light later will be more difficult to do. So let's take that back. Let's bring that lovely colour, maybe a little more blue to it as it comes through here. It's reflecting the fort or the seawall and the Harbour Master's office lookout again. I do apologise for getting it wrong. Take that all there, and we pretty much set the scene on that area now. We've got it really dark, really aggressive. Okay, right, now then. Let me come in. I want to come in and get this knocked into shape. So I'm going to come in with my blue, and I'm going to put some Indian red into that blue and make it really dark. I'm going to put a little bit of orange to it too, just to give it that sort of dirty, dark, bricky colour. I'm going to come all the way through here now with this. Way too blue. You can see how blue that still is. So let's take that down. Wants to be a really strong, dark statement, I think. All the way up to there and keep that as a nice, sharp, hard edge against that sky. And this is when the painting will start to pop. This is where you save all your highlights for on any other painting, is you save them to really punch it. And this way we're saving the darks against this light to really punch it against the sky behind. Up to there, there's a little bit of a light source coming down the side of the building, so we'll keep that. We can right the way through here now. It's got that wedge shape, and I mustn't lose that wedge shape. It does get darker. I'm going to bring some phthalo blue in. Really an aggressive blue, but to the phthalo blue I am putting in some orange and mixing the whole lot together, which will really destroy that blue colour, because I've used two complementaries together. Just coming in here with this brush now, and I'm just blue. And you've noticed that I have used the same brush so far throughout. I will change to a rigger, maybe on the small parts of the boat further in, but right now I don't feel that I need to worry too much. I'm going to bring that little structure that's underneath there into place, and let's just draw in the rest of the structure. Let's just get the roof on, across, and then it just, that's the other side, so let's put that in, coming down here. And now let's mark out for the windows, so they are sorted out. And just bring that wall up a little bit. Okay, same for underneath here. We have this section under here, and it has got a little recess to the windows. Just a couple of windows, you can just make them out. Something like that. I'm going to check that my building is not falling over. I don't think that it is. Keeping the edges as sharp as I can. Okay, and then we can come down there with this section, which is still quite warm. Very little detail within it. I'm going to come in with a little bit of red. Just bring that down through here. A little bit more Indian red, a little bit of orange into that, just to warm up the side of this wall, up in this area certainly, like that. Right, now I'm going to check what I've got here. I'm going to just raise it up a little bit higher, give it a little bit of a shape so it's not dead flat. I think I'm going to cut back in on this building. Just looked as though it's laying back a little bit, so I need to cut in on the wall and just make sure we're about where we need to be with that. I'm going to bring that back down. And it comes out to about there. Okay. So we're going to bring that through here now. And we're going to take this wall down. It's a bit of an angle, and then it comes down a little warmer. A bit more brick red colour, a little bit orange, maybe a little bit of red into that. Just ever so slightly to warm up the colour value. Okay, quite happy with that. And I'm going to come in with maybe a little bit of Naples yellow into that mix now, just to cool it down a little bit. And we're going to put in this sort of structure on the end here. Not quite sure what it is, still don't know what it is. And if anybody does, let me know what it is, because I have no idea. And take that out there a little bit more. Bring that down. A little bit more light on top of it. And clean up the mess, as it were, just shape up that roof. It's got a little bit funny shape, so let's just get that back. A little bit of light on top of it. And then we want to come back with a little bit of a dark shape over there, a little bit of shadow, something that's on the edge of the roof. And then I'm going to bring that down, much darker down the side. And sort of where the water levels are, it's going to be dirtier, greenier, bluer, very dirty as that comes down in there, like so. And that will come along similarly to the rest of this, and that just gets in a lot of shadow in here, a lot of blues in the shadow as well as the yellows, just to give it that nice shadow along the bottom of the wall. And actually you can put a little bit of yellowish buff colours into a little bit of orange as well. Just see some orange in those shadows. Take that along there. All the way down, almost to the sea level. And there's a little bit of light above that line of the dirty watermark. I guess that's foundation bricks or stone, not too sure. Just a very pale suggestion of a few courses of something foundation wise on the wall. And then we've got a clear area of light there. Comes down a little bit more to there. Now I'm going to do a few adjustments as well. So I'm going to take a clean dagger. And I still want to keep using the dagger. I just want to use a bit of a clean one, just to put in a few touches around here of that sky colour again. Just allowing that light to come all the way down and touch that top of that wall there. Don't want to do much more than that, because if I do, I'm going to take all that colour back into the sky, and I'm trying to avoid that. There's a few other things. There's a little bit of a tree, something there. I just want to clean up the edges of this building and give it that firm shape that I know it should have, and I've missed it a little bit. and just coming in and just carefully cutting in some of the shapes back in. Trying very hard not to mess any colour up. And I normally sort of guard against this because you normally start painting around a subject and it looks like you've stuck it on. So just be aware of doing anything like that. Just try and make it seamless as though it sort of goes all the way and off from that point, if that makes any sense. I come in and cut into this now. This brush has poorly had it. So it's just going to be a little bit of an uphill struggle with this little bit. You can see the shape of the brush I picked up. Not the best brush to have used. Well, we'll see that in a minute. Once we get going, that brush is awful. It's got some uses, but certainly not for what I was trying to do with it. Okay, I want to put a little bit more green and a bit more blue into this water coming through here. I want to take it up to this level. It's going to get lighter and maybe a little bit more greeny as it comes down to the bottom. I'm going to take a bit of tape off later. It's holding this board still. Bring some of that through here too. I actually have worked myself into a corner because I've almost painted out where I need to get for the boat. So I'm going to leave that little area there and save some of the paint for later. Go to a smaller brush now. Clean my hands up. Have a glug. In whatever order, I don't know. Right. We've lost a few, but hopefully they'll be back. Okay, smaller brush. Let's try and find some detail going on. Right, let's just look at the shape of this boat for now. And we need to make a darker statement than the water around, but very similar statement to the colours of the sea as it happens. So I'm going to try that and I'll put a bit darker value in so that we get that nice colour against the light of the sea when I come to put that in, and the back too. Okay. And it gets a little bit lighter up through to the front. There's one or two taps of light around there. And let's look at the mast and the sails. So I'm going to use my null stick just to keep my hands off of the painting itself. I'm just going to try and draw in the mast this way. We've got a dark coming around on the sail. I'm using a very long filbert, but I'm using it right on its edge, so it acts a little bit like a rigger. Okay, a dark tip down here on this sail, with a dark mass of people or the cockpit or whatever it is we're looking at there on the side of this vessel, like so, and a bit over the back. Little bits of stuff that are on the foredeck. Take that up to there. little bit of shadowy colour on the front of that sail. It's very, very similar value to the land, but just a little bit more paler. Get away with that. Coming down with a nice sharp edge to there, and hopefully that will work. I'm going to come with some paler lights now. It's not as bright as we think it is. Always really be careful of taking too light a colour and thinking, oh yeah, I've got to really punch away with some whites, and you haven't. This is one of those occasions when we don't. Just come in carefully as you can. Look at the shape of the billow coming down. And I do admit this does need a bit more light, and maybe just a bit more really orange yellow colours coming into that as well. Okay. Right, let me look at the rear sail. A bit more fluid. A little bit cooler, this one. I'm just going to come up into here, bring that down carefully. I don't want to have to start repainting all my background again. So I'm just taking that very, very carefully. Down, down, down. Looking and stopping short to where it is there. Now it is about there. Let's just take that out through there and make it join up with that bit at the back. I will use a rigger now, I've got to admit to, if I can find a good one in good shape. They normally suffer very fast, these brushes. And this one probably is on the edge of finishing. Right, okay, let's come in with our dark, bit of umber, bit of blue, make a nice dark, take off the excess, use a rest, and just come back in and come back in on the edge of there. And we'll put the mast in, which is going to be a little lower than I first planned. So taking it up to there, bringing it down, treading very, very carefully as I go. And into the deck. There we are. There's a little device somewhere on there, I don't know quite, something to do with the vessel, obviously. That nice little shape at the dark there, we're going to put that in there now, just to complete that. And now we're going to just sort of titillate, as it were, and just sort of play around with some of these shapes here onto the vessel. Try and give it that sleek look that it has as it's carving its way through the water. And then I will come back in with some white down the side. Doesn't look much at the moment, this boat, but hopefully it will look a bit better by the time we finish. So I'm going to come back in with some nice light through there. I need to get some fresh white out. Hi Judy, nice to have you with us. Thanks for taking the trouble to keep working away and getting on side, as it were. Bear with me. I'm just going to get some white paint. Yeah, can't get into that one. Okay. Let's carry on. Good to have you on board with us, Judy. They do, Brooklyn. They all do. Mine do, no differently. It's a thing with a rigger. They can't take that much. You consider how small the amount of hairs are and the work you ask of it. I'm just going to take that light through there. Now we're using some nice pure titanium white at the moment, like so. Taking that off the back and put a touch of medium cadmium yellow into that mix too, and that will lighten up that white. It will just make it punch even more. Look at that. Bang, bang, bang. Taking that off, out through there and through the other side of that little edge of whatever that is on the foreshore there. Cut round the shape of the back of the boat. And straight edge through there. And carve underneath the bow, leaving just a little bit of dark around there somewhere, which we can put back in if we haven't done that. Now I'm going to come right across this blue. Keep your colour. Now that picked up an awful lot of blue as I went through there, so just wash that out and just come back in and refill your brush with paint. Just try and keep your colours as crisp as you can. So I'll put in a few taps up there, coming around the face of the boat this way, so we complete the shape of the boat. I hope we're doing that. And a little bit of light coming off the back end, not that much, just off of there. And we're going to pull that light up through here. I'm going to take that all the way through there. I may have to do it in 2 lots, I think. And taking that all the way through there. Okay. I'm going to put some lights back in where they've gone missing. So like through and up to the mast here. Very strong light through there and through here too, which further sets up the sails. Get that light on through. It got a little bit lost before. Now's a good time to get that back in shape. Like that. That's what I wanted to do. The boat is almost going through a pure light source there. And I just wanted to make that happen. I've got a lot of paint on here. Not too worried about that. Although being white, it will take what seems an eternity to dry. Can't have everything. And I'm going to just muck about with some of this light now. Just playing with some of these shapes. And before I carry on and bring that down, I want to put in a bit of a pale blue, more so into this sail. Just lost a little bit, I think. And the same on this one. Just going to bring it up just another value. And then I've got that piece of blue to put in there, which will finish that part off. Okay. I keep forgetting other little bits and pieces. Let's just go back in and just set this up. Nice windows in here, which are not as bright as I had left them. A little bit of that greeny blue colour we've been using of the sea left on the palette will do this job very, very nicely. Just to set them up. There's a couple underneath, we can just put those in. There's big black dart between them, which I'll put back in a minute. While I'm on here, let's just put a little bit of yellow, a little bit of pale colour, just to excite this roof a bit more. It's just got a little bit too dull. A little light coming there. Like so, and then there's just a little glimmer of light on the wall here, and that's what defines it against the harbour wall next to it. I think that just helps that quite just about. Just get away with that. Okay, now let's just look back in one or two places that I said need tidying up. Now, for instance, there's a little bit of distance greeny colour that we've lost here. I think that's a bit too much of the green. Let's come back in, a bit more violet to it. So it comes down to that wall, and there's some sort of a spire or something there. I'll suggest that, and then come back out. There's a little bit more growth of something there, not much. Okay, not too much. So let's just try and just get that little spire thing just a bit more presence. So little taps now, it's little bits of pieces of information for the remainder. There's quite a light colour, which I want to put in with a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange, a bit more white, just to come in on this sort of foreshore. There's dark edges, which I'm going to put in. Now I did make it go a little further, so I'm going to actually straighten that bit out there. So, and bring it down to that point, which means I've got a little repair or two to do before I move forward. So let's just do that now. Let's come back in here with that light, taking that all the way through to there. And there, onto that. Actually, now you can see the difference there. That goes all the way through there. So my drawing is actually, if I'm honest, a little bit out. That should go up more, and that there, that should be at the top there. So there is a difference, and that's just me, nothing more. I'm not going to change it because it means major work to change it, so it's just going to stay as it is. I can't change all this light to dark all the way through this picture, so I don't plan on trying. But it's just observational stuff. It's just a case of watching, looking and checking all the time with your drawing, and that's why I say it's so important. But never mind, we will carry on. Just put in a couple of little dark parts here, strong darks. There's a little shadow coming down through there, and there is a darkness all the way along the shoreline through here. Let's put that in now. Okay, let's just check what that's doing. I think there's also some dark we need to put along the top here where this sort of watermark, the dirty staining from the old watermark over the many years and the breakwater. There's a little bit of dark up through there, a couple of little bits and pieces. Just put that in. And then we can come down with the reflections that we started before. And they do give way to this lighter colour, so I don't want to make them all that dark. Just going to make them dark enough in places where you've got like breakwaters or groin, stuff that are coming down like so into the edge of the water. Okay. And then we're going to take this shape, this light, we're going to build it up a little bit there, a little bit low. Okay. I'm going to run that orangey colour all the way through here now. Orangey colour turned dark quick, didn't it? Alright, let's just bring that back in. This is where we're catching a little bit of light. Keep it succinct, keep it different, keep it away from getting muddied up. There we do. There's a little bit of light up there and on there. Don't know what that is, but let's just put that in. There's a little bit of light down through there and there. And then coming back the other way, we've got little sort of bits of dark all along here. Just little taps, pilings. I don't know what they are. I'm guessing they're piles. Okay, that's enough of that, I think. Just going to bring in a bit more of this down here, this dark shapes and edge, which we will need that to come down there like so. And then we've got this, what's his name? It's depth thing. Let's just put that in, and the top of it is a little bit on the red side, but we don't see too much of that colour. Put that in there, come down, and take that down like so. That's all it needs to be. If you really want to be on it, you can just take the edge off there, give it that little chamfer size, and then tap a sense of redness, because these are normally red painted at the top. Like so, but it's not dark enough, so let's just come back in and we'll give that a depth over the top. You've still got a little bit of red influence in there somewhere. That works. Okay, we'll leave that at that. And it's got a little bit bowed, it's sort of fallen over, a slight thing. I don't like that. So what do I do about that? Okay, well, let's just straighten that up there, and let's just take that out a little bit there, there, and there. Bit of a repair job, just take that through, a bit darker. Yeah. We'll get there, we'll get there. Just, I didn't like it. When I looked at what you're saying, I thought that was laying on its side almost. Someone hit it and bent it over. So get rid of that. And let's get rid of that too, and take that to there and start again. Quick repair job. Take that through there. Okay, right, let's get rid of that. Let's use the rigger this time and come in with the dark and just take it carefully down. We've got the shape of the basket, comes down there, and let's try and make it so it is upright. Well, it's more upright than it was, so I'm not unhappy with that. While I'm here, I'm going to put a few taps in of a few boats and things, pleasure boats that are out there in the distance, so you can't see too much. There's a couple of yachts sitting over the back there. You don't see too much information. There is our big cross-channel ferry thing. Let's just put that in, give that a base, like so, and let's just try, if we can, and set up and put in a few of the sort of window structures at the top that give it its identified shape and form. Can come back in with a little bit more pale bluey white colour. Technical term, bluey white colour. Just like that, a little bit more blue, maybe a bit of cobalt. Just peel that off. Just give our vessel maybe. I don't want it to compete with the sails on the yacht, because they are brighter and this is not. So I'm going to be a little careful. So to that end, I'm just going to chicken out a little bit and just take that back down a little bit. Hopefully that is enough to suggest what it is. No, have I missed a lot of chat going on here, Judy? It's good, cool, thank you, Brooklyn. Okay, no sweat at all on all of that. Just trying to catch up with you guys. Okay, I'm just going to bring a little bit of light coming down the side of that boat. Just out through there, just to get a bit more of that information. Just breaking a little bit of the shapes in here to the edge. Just breaks up what you're seeing. Not trying to paint too much detail, just enough information to do the job. There's a little bit of stuff that's going on in here. And I think there's a little bit of light just separating whatever they are there. And then we're going to come back to our lovely lights that we've been playing with, a bit of yellow in them. And I'm just going to start bringing a few more in. Actually, I want to bring in, I keep changing my mind what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. Right, I'm just going to come in and I want to put a bit of light, a bit of reflected light in this water here. And for that I'm using a bit of white, but a lot of that turquoise colour in there, just to light that up and bring that into there like so. Just a bit of reflected light. Not quite sure what's causing it, but I just like it in there, so I'm going to put it in. I would like a little bit more, but actually run out of the colour. There we go, that's a little bit more, that works. Okay, there's a nice flush of it through here, and just breaking up some of the dark for some of this lovely light. I'm going to bring some through. I'm actually going to pour some more out because I need more and I don't have more on the palette, so let's just get some out. This is the colour that actually Wendy got for me. It's a Winsor & Newton colour, and it really is a tremendous colour. It's a very light turquoise, cobalt turquoise. It really is quite a nice colour, but as I say, it is a Winsor colour. Right. I'm aware that we're almost 10 minutes from the end, but we may go over a little bit of time if you guys are up for that. I don't mind, because there's still a lot of I's and T's that I actually haven't put in yet. So let's try and do that. Let's come in with that turquoise colour first and foremost. Let's just run some of that through here. Just breaking up some of this dark ever so slightly. Come back in with my darker colour as well. We can work the two areas together. And then I can just go in with the lights that I need to put in to finish. Messed it up with a little bit of mauvey pink in there too. It works quite well. Just shifts that green out a little bit and gives that green a sort of grey colour, which I quite like the look of. Okay, I think that's pretty much where it wants to be. I'm going to come back in across with a greenish, subtle greenish hue through there. A few taps out here just to break some of this up. then we can come back and do the final parts. Just going to tap in some greens in here. All right, okay, I'm going to keep on forever if I don't get on. So let's just play around over this side first and just put in some taps of nice sun catching the waves. You've seen me do things like this before on other paintings, so a bit more yellow into that mix. A little tap, a little drag, lots of little marks to create what we're trying to suggest. There's a lot of it, but I'm not going to put all of it in. A bit more moisture. You got a bit of a hair dragging its own little marks around with it. So there's one or two little taps between some of these. It's a lot more of a congregation around the edge here where the boat is created a wake behind it and to the side and push the water around a bit. Drive a few more in the suggestion that something else has sort of gone out through the harbour mouth fairly recently and created another line of wave, as it were. The marks get quite large as they come toward. And just breaking up. The nice thing about the drying surface of this is it does hold some of that paint down a little bit for you. Just lose a few here. I know there are a lot more through the back here, but as I say, you don't have to be a slave to the photo. Just need to do as much as you need to do to make this work. So I'm looking at it's probably enough. I could concentrate a few more in one or two places maybe. But that's probably enough. Okay, now I'm going to use the same rigger and make a little bit of fluid darker. Yeah, it's good paint. Love the colour, and you can thank Wendy because she got it for me. I use the Michael Harding, which is the darker version, which is this one, the turquoise green deep. But I didn't put any help tonight. I picked up the wrong one and put some phthalo green out instead by mistake. But as I say, you can get the lighter version. It's a Winsor & Newton, so any of the sort of art shops that are currently still around and open will contain that. A little light more into those windows. I want to come in with some darks. I've lost a lot of my darks, so I've got to come back in and make some fresh. Bit of umber, bit of blue, and maybe a little bit of yellow into that. Not too much. And I want to just come in and just tidy up one or two areas on this building. Still not 100% happy with the way it looks. Okay, that's probably as good as it's going to get. And I'm just going to hold off now and just put in a few marks that are suggestive of sort of bits and pieces on the building itself. A little bit more fluid needed, but I don't want to make it too much. So put some on, get some fluid going, drag most of it off of your brush, and then just steady your hand. Now I've got my hand resting on my wrist like so. So that's what I'm doing to hold on, and I'm just going to carefully try and make one mark coming down, which is at the core, and then I'm just one or two other little bits coming off of it, a couple of little bits going around the rooftop here. Take off the excess. Radios, all sorts of things, I'm guessing. I don't know, masts. Lots of other stuff on top here, observational stuff, I'm guessing. I don't know too much. But there's quite a bit up there. Let's put that in. And these little bits of detail don't have to be exact, but they do work a lot of help when it comes to making something just come together at the end of the painting. A little bit of ladder or something out the back there, just put that down. A set of steps through there. And we've got, looks to be some sort of fencing going along the top here. Again, light marks, because you don't need too much and it shows up. Got a nice flagpole, just a bit taller than the rear of the roof, so let's put that down like so. One stroke, another one, something there, put a stroke there, and there's something low down there. All this little stuff, little bit of a flag off there. Put that in. Let's come down to the next level. And oh, there's a few more of these here. We'll just put a few more of these in here. Less of there, still there. And then we've got another bit of a fencing, posts, something going on there. There's another tall thing that comes up to that far, so it's quite tall. So let's bring that down like so. Got a couple of, I'm guessing, navigational lights on there. I'm not too sure what they will be. A couple of other things here and there. Maybe a little darker. And I think we're done. I mean, you can start looking at all sorts. We can start suggesting some rigging here on the vessel. Coming through some of those other marks. Just gently bringing the brush down through disturbs the paint underneath, and you get a sense of that picking up some of that light maybe across there. Just helps bring the whole thing to a finish. And not to forget the little flag off the back of the yacht. There's a definite lovely bit of green. I've just seen that little bit of green just in there, just to give that a little bit of colour in there, just to tap off. Don't know what it is, but I like it. Okay, what I haven't done is these boats at the back here, these little masts of the yachts. So let's just put a little sail on a couple. There we are. A little bit of light into the bottom of one. Now I'm going to put in, now I've got all my other values, I'm just going to put in one or two little taps of lights that are in this town or whatever it is that we're looking at way off. Just the odd little bit of light on a piece of roof or something. I think that's probably all we're looking at. And I'm going to use some of it just to come down the side of this building, because I've got a little bit of brown paint there still from the drawing, which never got put out. So let's just bring some light into there, and that will help with that roof. Onto there. And there's a couple of dark bits I've just missed, which are on here. So let's put them on. And one is creating a shadow down through there, I think. Just add something to that little bit there as well. And can I just finish off by putting that little dark area around this sail. And that helps make that beautifully. That sets that up just about right. Okay, now what I'd love to have done is just used a bit of that sky colour. And this is where it can go very wrong. I just want you to touch in. Just break that up. To that point there. May even be a little lighter. I can always come back in with some of the clouds and play around, because remember I shortened off the mast, but I want to put a little dark mark in. Just put very, very faint rigger mark in. There we go. That's it. Got away with that. So I think, you know, I can sit and look at this tomorrow, and I can probably figure something I need to do, and one, two other little bits and pieces that have been missed, and I could play around with the sky a bit more. But essentially I've got the key ingredients down. Now it's just a case of playing around and I's and T's and adding more bits if I feel the need. And you know, this is where you just sort of, you can wreck it. You got to be careful. It's got to be said. Just want to tighten that up through there. Like that. Yeah, it's easily done. It's easily go too far. I'm going to put a little bit of bow wave in there, and a little bit of a wake colour off at the back there, a little suggestion that it's travelling. Done deal, I think, pretty much. All I will do, as I say, is just play around. If I want to add in any more sort of these marks that I've been putting in, if I want to, if I feel the need to. What I will do though, before I go any further, is I'm going to put a signature on it. So I'm going to put the signature here. There you go. A little bit insignificant, and that's how I like them. If I can do that. But yeah, here we are, sorted. I think there's a little bit of light that I just missed down the side there. I'm going to put that in. That's there and down that wall there. I think there's a little light source. I'll put that in. That's it. Cheers, John. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm steering real clear of those, I tell you. Lovely people as they are. I'm not getting too close to any one of them. We put a card through the door and then ran. Lovely people. I hate to hear anybody suffering. But it's always worrying. I mean, my son works for authority in Dover, and there are 2 or 3 on the shifts, and I think he's got 2 down on his and 3 on another one. It's quite worrying. A lot of people suffering with this. Yeah, I'm going to come in with a bit more blue, a bit more of that lovely cobalt in monitor. I just want to bring up some of that cobalt in here. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but I'm doing it. And come back over with a little bit of the light too, just to break it out a little bit more. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. All right, okay, guys and girls, I will look forward to your company, my Patreons, on Friday. Don't be late. I'll look forward to your company then. And yeah, take care until then. Keep safe. All of those things. And have a go at this one. Next week it will be the same picture. I hope you don't mind. But I'll be doing it in watercolour. Just to show you how different the 2 mediums will work. And how they do work. And hopefully, yeah, you'll get something from that too. I may well work on the sky of this tomorrow, as I've A, got the paint out, and B, I feel that I can do a bit more to it. Good. I'm glad to hear it, Keith. Now, the idea is for you to go off with these and have a go yourself, and just see what you can take from it, and knowing that tomorrow, of course, you can quite happily look at that, you can quite happily I better just block those two bits in. I will get that out. You can quite happily revisit this and you know, carry on and do a bit more. You know, you just keep revisiting the image and the film as much as you want to, really. Just going to touch those couple of bits in that were holding down with the tape, and just come back in. This is not my normal rigger, but I can't see where I just put the other one. I'm just going to tap in a few marks in there just to finish that off there, and very similarly down into there. Very bad old rigger, that one. How that got in my oil box, but it shouldn't be there. Okay, people, there you go. Yeah, I probably would agree with that. I mean, they don't, you know, you're looking at a difference between printed light and electrical light. And tablets, of course, it's electric light, and you're never going to get the same look from one or the other. So you will struggle with that. So yeah, I take your point, Ken. It's a valid one. Bye, Judy. Take care. Ken, have a great day out there. I know it's early morning for you. It's getting late in the night for us. Good night, Sue. I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes. Let people say cheerio to everybody. I'm saying cheerio to everybody right now. And I'll see all of you on Friday. All my patrons that are there. And Brooklyn, are you still there? By chance? Brooklyn, if you are still there, yeah, John, look forward to it. Wendy, take care to you. Brooklyn, if you can hear me still, if you're still around, then don't forget what I said about leaping over to the Facebook community, looking out for the Paul Apps patron group, and then asking to join, and either Wendy or I will admit you in. So don't forget to do that, because it's a great way of staying connected with all of us. It's a growing family of patrons that have the ability to show each other work and have a chat with each other and get ideas and thoughts. And of course, I will, as often as I can, I can't always do it, I don't get all of them, but I get a lot of them. But I will always try and help and comment in the most positive way I can. But I won't pull any punches either. If there's a problem, I'll tell you, and hopefully that's fine, and you'll get something from it to either correct it or move on to your next work. But yeah, look out for it and climb on board. Right. Yes, for those who don't know, Brooke or Brooklyn is our most recent patron, so it's good to have her on board as a patron too. So I'll see you on Friday as well. I've got a bin full of paper here. Oh dear. There we go anyway. Good night, everybody. I'm going to switch it off now.